In my previous video, When Does Gaslighting Occur?, I wrote. For instance, when you feel rejection and disgust toward them, they deliberately and maliciously push closer, refusing to leave, refusing to let you go. When you feel contempt toward that person, they wear the face of someone superior to you, letting that person judge and comment on you. Whatever you like, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to reach for, they destroy it, they slander it. Here's the thing, the moment you see one of their kind, you feel disgust. In your mind you curse, so ugly, so repulsive, clearly someone with barely any education, who's never read a book. You feel they're not even worthy of contact with you, and that's exactly when they project onto you, bully you, abuse you. They go ask their own kind what they think of you, ignore you, and casually hand you off to someone else. If you don't follow your body's instinct to feel even more disgust, more anger, to walk away and cut them off completely, and instead you stay, you have already suppressed your own instinct of disgust and anger, your feelings, yourself, your boundaries. That's when the distortion begins. Whatever the mind does, it rationalizes, walking away or driving someone off as rejection, refusal, so if you don't leave, if you even stay close, your brain concludes that means it must be fine, otherwise why would you stay or come closer? You change your expression from disgust and contempt to shyness. Your inner verdict on them shifts from so ugly, so repulsive to so handsome, so strong. Your unwillingness to engage twists into eagerly waiting to see whether the one above deigns to notice you. Your standards around learning, which you once valued deeply, collapse into you elevating the very person you were disgusted by, the one you couldn't stand being near for even a second. It's like watching a comment section where everyone condemns some parasitic, vicious criminal, and instead you find yourself thinking they're handsome, impressive. You're now working against civilized society, against progress, becoming their follower, because your instinctive feelings, your sense of self as a living being, are gone. But the difference between you, as someone carrying trauma, and them, is this: when you see the comment section condemning the criminal, condemning someone who harmed your own kind, it feels like someone is finally backing your true self instead of undermining your survival instinct. That gives you courage, gives you a kind of joy, and you start being able to condemn the criminal too, just like the rest of the civilized commenters. At the same time, your vision blurs, you don't dare look clearly, because if you did, your body's instinct to survive would kick in and you'd feel disgust and rage toward them and their kind. There was a pregnant woman who lured a female college student who'd been helping her into her home, so her husband could assault and then kill her. This is what happens when you don't follow your own body, when you don't act, don't move, don't let your expression show, and instead you accept their projection, their gaslighting of you. Your brain, trying to avoid the discomfort of cognitive dissonance, begins rewriting reality. Gaslighting occurs when you fail to follow your body, to have a self, to hold boundaries, and instead accept the outside world's violation and projection, getting parasitized, exploited, freeloaded off, gaslit. They destroy your definitions, the real truth, reality itself, your will to survive. What they destroy isn't just one thought of yours, it's your judgment of reality, your definition of yourself, and your ability to protect your own survival. Gaslighting isn't about making you like the other person, it's about making you doubt your own feelings and abandon your own judgment. This is a violation. This is the destruction of yourself, them parasitizing you, destroying you, surviving by killing you. This is where imposter syndrome comes from. It's not simply that you think you're inferior, it's that you insist the outside world is better, stronger, without even looking, without even checking the evidence, also that you won't survive. The moment you survive in a healthy way, pursuing what benefits you, avoiding what harms you, feeling confident and proud, rejecting what's inferior and bad, breathing freely, feeling comfortable, claiming your place in the world, you get violated for it. So you find it hard, or have simply grown used to not being able to breathe and exist freely, and that means you can't move toward better places and healthier, stronger environments. As a living being, your instinct is to pursue benefit and avoid harm. When you see something bad, something inferior, your instinct is to reject it, to recoil from it, to feel disgust. If you don't follow that instinct, you'll never seek out good, excellent people, and you'll never obtain real resources and good things that haven't been rewritten to go on living. Both material things and the inner confidence and pride you carry are good things. There is no sense of joy without something bad to contrast it with, no sense of liking without something you dislike, and no improvement without something flawed. All of this traces back to the environment you were born into, how much that environment refused to let you survive. If an environment won't let you survive, then the moment you do survive, it will attack you again, trying once more to keep you from surviving. There was a woman who tortured her own teenage son to death over the course of just a few months. The judge said he thought about it for a long time and still couldn't understand how a person could do that. But he knew one thing: she never actually intended to kill her son, because if she killed him, she'd lose the object she projected herself onto. So not letting you survive doesn't only mean killing you physically. It can also mean taking away the good things that were yours, destroying your original joy, your pride, your confidence, your sense of dignity, all as a way of making it impossible for you to go on living. The moment you see one of their kind, you instinctively feel disgusted, unwilling to engage, feeling they're not even worthy of contact with you, and if you'd been born into a healthy, strong, civilized environment, you'd have the right to survive, the human right to go on living. You would simply follow your body toward whatever you see and hear and are drawn to move toward the people and environments where you can breathe, where you feel comfortable, meaning the strong, excellent ones who don't parasitize you. You'd reject, feel disgust, walk away, refuse to engage, drive off the violation, and hold your ground. You would recognize it plainly and name it: that's malicious harassment, refusing to let me go home even though it knows I'm eager to get home, that I'm happy to finally be going home. You wouldn't end up, even though you were meant to have a bright future, even though there are good, strong people out there who would step in to help you and, once you're strong, would admire and look up to you, falling instead, repeating your childhood circumstances, because you absorbed the envy, the harm, the malicious suppression of the same kind of people who violated you as a child, letting them draw close and refusing to let you leave. If you could survive, you simply wouldn't engage with them at all. You wouldn't keep being violated, keep being suppressed, over and over. But once you engage, once they keep violating you, the end result is that your future is completely destroyed. If you'd been born into a healthy, strong, civilized environment, able to survive, to have a sense of self, to focus on your own life, you wouldn't even pay attention to them, to how ugly or inferior or lacking in self-regulation or unwilling to learn they are. Your attention would be on yourself. You'd have already walked away or driven them off. That is true rejection, not engaging, not wasting your time and energy, not accepting their violation or their closeness. You'd have a self, and boundaries. You'd simply say, following your body, that person is disgusting, and you'd walk away or drive them off. You'd let your body's instinct express itself through action and feeling. But because as an infant you had no way to follow that survival instinct, to drive someone off or walk away, you were left with no choice but to fixate on the outside world, looks, education, ability, and so on. That fixation was really just a way of rationalizing the fact that you couldn't follow your body, couldn't move, couldn't act to survive, to breathe, to claim space, rather than being squeezed out of it. If you'd been able to, you would have set your boundaries early, gone on with your own daily life, lived your own separate, self-chosen life. If you'd followed your body's instinct to survive, you never would have stayed instead of leaving or driving someone off, and you never would have taken something as blatant as malice, envy, suppression, bullying, criminal violation, and rewritten it into good intentions, all because you didn't drive them off or walk away. Every living thing follows its body's survival instinct to choose what benefits it. All of it is about surviving, about getting good things. Some produce them themselves, some take them from others, and some have been violated so many times, so used to having things taken, that they no longer dare to claim things or protect what's theirs, because they never followed their body's instinct to simply walk away or drive the threat off in the first place. The reason you keep watching them is itself a trauma response. An infant can't move on its own, it needs the outside world to carry it to a civilized environment, to eliminate the threat for it. The survival instinct of any living thing is to move toward good places, to walk away from or drive off whatever makes it hard to breathe. But an infant can't do that. It still needs someone to feed it, so all it can do is accommodate that person's projection. There was a woman with a graduate degree who was trafficked into a mountain region and forced to bear several children there. After her parents finally rescued her, she would instinctively lie down and undress the moment anyone gave her food, just as she had in that mountain region. She had been one of the very few people from that region with such a high level of education, someone with a boundlessly bright future ahead of her. Whose projection was she accommodating? Whatever kind of person they are is what they project, and what they project is what gets made. Go to the places where you can breathe, where you feel comfortable, where you can meet others' eyes, move as freely as you want, be yourself. In other words, follow your body's instinct to pursue what benefits you, to survive, to grow, rather than staying in the places you feel disgust and rejection toward. In those places, you keep surviving, feeling good, feeling like yourself, confident and proud, and the people there are the same way. They don't violate you. What they project, what they give off, confidence, pride, excellence, feels good too. Follow your body and move. Follow your body, walk away, or drive it off. Have your own judgment, your own opinions. Don't fixate on watching the outside world, analyzing it, being drawn into its projections, elevating it, accommodating it, or letting yourself be violated and drowned out by it. Follow your own body, to move, to let your expressions show, to talk to yourself, to narrate your own life, to focus on your own life, instead of fixating on the outside world and being swallowed by it. Look, listen, and judge for yourself. See for yourself, choose for yourself, have your own purpose, your own goals, your own convictions.